Spencer McLaughlin from Locked On Ducks, Locked On College Football. Spencer, so great to have you here. I know you're on a tight timetable, so I appreciate you giving us a few minutes here to talk through the Ducks.
Yeah, man, anytime. I mean, I'm more than a little intrigued to see how Oregon handles this particular game. You can see down there on YouTube they're a pretty sizable favorite, and they have been the last couple weeks, and they've covered no problem. But I don't know. I just like my ears are perked up.
Yeah, 14.5 favorite that Oregon is favored by. And I will say, I think that we would probably, all of us would collectively donate a kidney if you could have a quarterback of Dylan Gabriel's production with 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 2371 passing yards. So I guess
don't forget the 76% completion percentage.
And there's that. That's not too shabby either.
No, not bad, not bad. And yet somehow at this point, at this point in the season, he is less accurate than Oregon's quarterback from last year. It is wild how that works. But anyway, on this particular game, I think whether Michigan covers that number, keeps it close, is able to push to pull an upset here, comes down to their defense, and really all about their defense. Because I think you guys have seen this year, is that Michigan's offense can play off of the defense, where, not only does the defense literally just score some points, sometimes as many or more touchdowns than Michigan's offense at times, it feels like, but they also can give them short fields to work with. And I don't think Michigan can afford to have long fields against this Oregon defense. The way they've struggled throwing the football this year, here's a stat for you guys, and I've been repeating it ad nauseum this week because I think it's a testament to what Dan Lanning and defense coordinator Tosh Lupoy have really done this season on that side of the ball. Will Howard, with those receivers, that is the only guy to throw for more than 200 yards in a game this season against Oregon, and they have been incredibly stifling to opposing quarterbacks. And with the way Michigan has struggled to throw the football this year, it is a bad matchup for the Wolverines. And so the reason that I think Michigan's defense is the most important singular unit to decide if this game becomes close is twofold. Number one, can they give their offense short fields? Not just, preventing Oregon from scoring a bunch of points, but can they get them off the field quickly? Can they create an impact in the punt return game to give them a short field? Can they force a turnover to give them an opportunity to put points on the scoreboard? That's number one. And then number two, can they slow down Oregon's offense? Because if you let the Ducks offense create explosive plays, I do not see how Michigan keeps pace. I think the defense has to play its best game of the year. And I don't think the offense has to necessarily play its best game of the year. They just have to find their identity again, which is run the damn ball. Run the ball. Like I feel like at times Michigan's been a little trigger happy with the pass, like against Washington. And I was like, what are you doing? Just you played Penn State last year. You ran it 32 times in a row. Where is that?
Yeah.
Where's that bit? I know Sharon Moore's not calling the plays, but at some point, I feel like he's got to come on the headset and say, guys, just run the ball. Run the ball. 3rd and 4, run the ball.
You've seen him with the sheet every once in a while. I think he might be. Getting in there a little bit, but I would also like to see more creative running, Spencer, because when you have, and we were just talking about this on the show, when you have 2 straight runs up the A gap. Okay, maybe you vary. There's a little bit of variance there, but you have Donovan Edwards, who hasn't been effective in that position, in that particular role this year, doing that twice. And then you put a Davis Warren, who's trying to build confidence in a 3rd and long situation. So I guess, from that perspective, Oregon's defense, I would say, has been such improved since Dan Lanning took over the team. And I think that's the Kirby Smart influence. When you work under Kirby Smart, such a defensive mind, it almost feels like Georgia, like a second Georgia. Originally, I was saying baby Georgia. Now it feels like Oregon could go toe to toe with Georgia for real.
Which is, I think, a true statement, and also a testament to how far Dan Lanning has brought the program in the last couple of years. Because if you remember, Dan Lanning's first game as a head coach, does everybody remember what happened in that particular contest? It was 49-3.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that you have seen the offense, perform at a high level for the last couple of years, but the defense has made just significant strides over the last 2 seasons. From 22 to 23, there was a jump, and there has been another jump taken this year. I think it starts with the defensive line, continues in the secondary, and you can get some nice moments from the linebacking unit as well. But it's that defensive line. And I don't know if Jordan Burch is playing this week. He's questionable, and he's been out the last couple of games, and you'd never know. Like, if I just put you, if I locked you in a closet and said you can't watch college football all season, and then I dropped you at the Oregon-Illinois game or the Oregon-Purdue game for that matter, and said, what do you think of Oregon's defense? You'd say, wow, I think their defensive line's really good. I think they got a bunch of guys up there. I mean, Mateo Uyunglele and Derek Harmon are wreaking havoc.
Yes, sir.
You would make 1,000 presumptions about the Oregon defense before you got to, I think they're missing maybe their most impactful defensive lineman, at least statistically. Like, this is a guy who can wreck individual drives on his own, and you can't say that about a lot of players. But I go back and forth. Is it Birch? Is it Derek Harmon? You pick your poison there if you're an opposing offense. But the Oregon defensive line is no joke. I know Michigan's pass protection this year has been up and down. Shall we say? This is not the team to be shaky in pass protection. They will get after you, and they don't need to blitz. They will. From time to time, you'll see Brandon Johnson come off the edge. You'll see Jeffrey Bossa and Devin Jackson blitz from the linebacker spot. They've been effective with those. But Oregon is perfectly content, quite often as they should be, to rush for and say, I dare you to leave either Tatum Tuioti or Mateo Uyunglele one-on-one on the edge, and we'll see if those guys can get pressure.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is with Dillon Gabriel, Jordan James, Tez Johnson. I agree with you. It's one of my keys of the game, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. Oh, I guess we're getting to it now.
Yeah.
So I'll just get to it
right
now.
to it. Why not?
All right. So here's my key to the game. I think the Will Johnson and the Tez Johnson battle is going to be an incredibly critical battle in this matchup, because I believe if Will Johnson can do what he should do as a projected top 5 pick, likely top 10, because corners don't go top 5 often, then that will help and benefit Michigan's defense to potentially get to Dillon Gabriel and allow the rest of the defense to focus on the other weapons. The turnover battle is critical. If Michigan has any chance of winning this game, we cannot lose the turnover battle. We must win the turnover battle. It's probably the only way we do win a game against a team of this caliber. And then pressure on Dillon Gabriel. If we do not get pressure on Dillon Gabriel, it's going to be a long-ass day, which then goes to Spencer's point about our defense being the biggest chess match against their offense that will probably determine the outcome of this game. And then I do have my score prediction, but I'll wait till everyone gives their keys.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly on the last 2 keys that you gave there, that you got to win the turnover battle and you have to pressure Dillon Gabriel. 100%. Those are keys for Michigan. I do not agree on the first one, though I understand why you went there, and here's why. Oregon has routinely this year been willing and able to go to a variety of weapons. Yeah, Tez Johnson is the leading wide receiver. Evan Stewart was the guy against Ohio State. Now, Tez Johnson had a good game as well, caught a long touchdown, but this is not a one-man receiving core. So I'd expand upon your key and say it's not about Will Johnson locking down Evan Stewart or Tez Johnson. Like, even if he does that all game, you have hindered the Oregon passing game. You have not taken it away, because they might have Terrence Ferguson back. Even if they don't, Kenyon Sadiq has been in the fold in a lot of different ways, and he's a tight end who just does everything on the field. They run fly sweeps to Kenyon Sadiq and screen passes. Like, he's just an explosive guy with the ball in his hands. You have Evan Stewart or Tez Johnson who can lead the team in receiving yards. You have Justice Lowe and Trayshawn Holden who have both had explosive plays this season. This is the last 2 years. This is the best run of Oregon wide receivers in my lifetime as a Duck fan. And if Will Johnson takes away one of those guys, Dillon Gabriel is not someone who stares people down, especially the last few weeks. I think he's playing in a really good rhythm in this offense. He is throwing the ball wherever it needs to go and wherever it can go. And that's why I think it'll be incumbent upon the entire Michigan secondary to take away those explosive plays, make Oregon run the ball, which has been the weaker aspect of their offense this year, and make them take those long drives down the field.
Yeah, well, that's the mark of an experienced quarterback. You've seen a lot of examples of Michigan quarterbacks staring down receivers, but they also have maybe one game of experience in their career, 2 games of experience.
Gabriel's got a few more than that under his belt.
Yeah, quite a few, quite a few seasons there, so he knows how to do that. My keys, I'll keep it short. Oregon, I do both teams. Oregon, they need to keep doing what they're doing. Plain and simple. If they play their football, given how Michigan has been all year, I think Oregon's gonna win this game. For Michigan to win, they're going to have to disrupt how Oregon does what they do. They're going to need to create interceptions and turnovers. Will Johnson's going to have to come back from injury and play his face off in this game. And he used to be good for at least one turnover a game, basically. If he can get back to that, that could be a thing. Gabriel is capable of being picked off. And so Will Johnson, I think, would be a factor there, or a Josiah Stewart making an impact in terms of as that goes. The O-line, I think, has made strides, but what we're really going to need to see is Davis Warren being put into positions to succeed, right? Which happened in 2 or 3 drives this past time. And I think it needs to happen on all the drives. Because I think Michigan needs to focus on at least scoring 3 every single time they have the ball.
Yeah,
minimum 3.
I'll leave you guys with this. If Michigan fans want a sliver of real optimism, go watch the first and second quarters, especially, maybe a little bit of the third, but really like the second quarter of Purdue's offense against Oregon. They ran the football. They ran the football, and then they stalled because they couldn't throw the football. And I think Ryan Brown ended the game with under 100 yards passing, or somewhere in that sort of range. But they were able to run the ball. They had success. That's the formula for Michigan. Like you said, like, be willing to take field goals, and just then you have to, at that point, rely on your defense and their ability to keep Oregon off the scoreboard.
There it is. So Nick is giving his prediction here. Michigan 34, Oregon 24.
I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something quickly. If Michigan scores 30 points on this Oregon defense, I don't know. I'll come up with something. I'll do a show shirtless, or I don't think my bosses would let me do that, but like I'd consider it. But I got to bounce. Good to talk to you guys, and hope you enjoy the game this weekend.
Well, can we get your prediction real quick?
Yeah, I've got Oregon 31-6.
There it is. Oregon 31-6. Check out Spencer on Locked On Ducks. Thanks for coming by.
Yep, anytime. I'll see you guys.
All right. Whirlwind segment there, buddy. But let's talk our predictions before we get through recruiting and super chats here. So Oregon, Michigan, where do you stand here?
So I have it 31-17 Oregon. I think we're going to have a tough game. I'd love to see an upset, though. I hope the boys can do it. I just think Oregon's at a caliber. We're just not there yet. Now, hopefully we can get a good scheme together and the boys play with confidence. It is at home, though. That's a good thing. This is college football. Things happen. So we'll find out. Hopefully they prove me wrong. I like it. They proved me wrong last week. Do it again.
I'm gonna go 28-17 Oregon. Again, I would love, just like last week and the USC week, I would so love to be wrong and for Michigan to pull this out. I know Moose predicted a Michigan victory. Obviously, Nick predicted a Michigan victory. Let us know in chat what you think.